And welcome, I'm so glad that everybody made a point to get here and to.
And no storm, not yet.
No storm. Just we're gonna have an inch or two. You know, I think we're getting off light. Anybody south of us is.
They downgraded it to 3 inches for us.
Yeah, yeah. And I think below the city line, it's, you know, it's like, that's where it's gonna get at. I think we escaped. Okay. So, this is a workshop about what every shelter dog should know. And this is a class that we created about 3, maybe 4 years ago. And it's two things. It's a class with 3 goals in mind, 3 exercises to teach the dogs. And we chose these 3 things because I felt there was 3 things that would help our dogs get adopted, get out the door, and stay out the door once they're adopted. There's many things that you can teach a dog. There's, you know, but these are 3 simple things that every single dog in the shelter needs to know. And we teach their name because most of the dogs coming into the shelter don't know the name that we give them. A lot of dogs come in as strays, and we don't know their previous name, so we give them a name. So I want the reason why I want the dog to orientate to their name is because when I bring a family in here and I bring in the dog, Blackie, and they are calling, Blackie, 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 sniffing off in the corner. Blackie's thinking, I don't know who they're talking to, but I don't know who Blackie is, it's not me. The dog doesn't turn around. But if the dog knew its name was Blackie, and associated that with good things coming to it, when the dog turned, you know, when the person said that name, and the dog turned around, made eye contact, well, now that dog has 1 foot in the door to getting out the door. The other thing is when the dog does come over to greet them, if he greets them politely and sits in front of them, and sits and makes eye contact instead of like jumping, pounding on them, again, the person's like further impressed, like how, this is the dog that I want to go home with, the dog that's well behaved and has some manners. And we teach going to crate because I'd say 90% of the dogs going out the door are all young adolescents. That's what we have in our kennel, and they're going to need a crate. And the last thing I want is a family with a brand new dog that's just getting to know them, and they're getting to know their dog, to be pushing, shoving, cramming the dog into something. He's like, I don't know what this is really scary, and this is not familiar to me. And so if they're familiar with, oh, I know what this is, and go in and lay down, they've been taught to do that, that dog is set up to succeed in the home. So that's why, you know, that's why we designed the class, and that's why we think it's important for every single dog, from this big to that big to young and old, to know these 3 simple things. All right. There were some other questions. Bobby's going to get into deeper into each of the 3 couple exercises. A couple things I wanted to make clear is that, of course, this is open to anybody. Green dot, yellow dot. I don't care if you have a dot. You're welcome, you know, to be here. If you are a green dot and you need 3 of these classes that are offered by the shelter, and they were offered twice a week, Thursday nights. Most Thursday nights at 6:30, and every Saturday at 1 p.m. You need 3 of these classes, the Whatever Shelter Dog Should Know, in order to take your yellow dot class. And the goal is to get you involved, working with the dogs, hands-on, getting familiar with, working with our dogs. So today's class actually counts, if you're a green dot and you're looking to get your yellow dot, it counts as, well, I think we're initialing badges.
Yeah, so I'll just sign the back of your badge.
We'll sign the back of your badges if you need a signature towards your yellow dot. What this is not a green dot class, this is not a yellow dot class, so.
Do you have to sign up for those classes, or, I mean, do I know who's coming, or just come?
No,
I mean,
it's
they're
open,
definitely
yeah, you do not
know.
need to pre-enroll or pre-sign up for the classes,
Okay.
they're open, you can come as you will. It is a good idea to call a day or 2 if you're planning on coming to whatever class, call it, just make sure it is running.
Still being
The thing on the Thursday night class, once a month, there's a green dot class in here for people getting their green dot. And so on those nights, there's not a what every shelter dog should know
Oh, I
on
see.
that Thursday night. And it fluctuates, it usually is the second or third Thursday of the month, but that's why it just is called. Saturdays are a bit more regular, they're for the most part, unless
Yeah.
somebody's out sick.
But we actually have
It's-
Monica covering.
Yes, and Monica's covering for John. If anybody knows that John is out on, he had major surgery a couple days ago, and he's gonna be out for quite a while,
Oh,
but Monica's stepping in. So she's your what every shelter dog should know, Saturday instructor at 1 o'clock. Thursday night is Carrie Moskowitz, and she starts it at 6:30, right here in the room.
okay. Okay, good.
So, any other questions about,
Also, the thing about those classes, that you can come as many times as you want. You don't have to just come 3 times, you get your yellow dot, you're done. They're great for refreshers. We have a few volunteers that just come all the time because the dogs are different, the challenges the dogs present are different, and they just like that constant reminder of how we move through the program to train the dogs.
Can you just explain again the different colors, what they're, I mean, the
Okay.
rank and what they
Yeah.
mean?
Good, I'm glad you asked,
Yeah.
okay. You initially come in, you've done your general adult volunteer orientation, and you want to walk dogs. You would send an email to green.yellow.@NewRochelleHumaneSociety.org, and you would be put in the green dot class, which is our first class. And that's, if you notice walking around, the dogs are color coded. So after taking that green dot class, it's a group class, you could walk the green dot level dogs. Those are the dogs that are just easier, they're physically easier to walk. These are, friendly dogs, they'll come up to the front of the kennel, you can clip on. They're not gonna drag you, it's down the street, they may still jump and pull on leash, but they're just physically, they're the easier dogs to walk in our population. After you've had your green dot and you want to bump up to the yellow dot, then you attend 3 of the what every shelter dog should know. And even if you don't want to bump up to yellow dot, you can still, we encourage you, please come take the what every shelter dog should know. But to get your yellow dots, you would take 3 yellow, what every shelter dog should know. After you got your 3, again, you send another email to green.yellow.@NRHSHumaneSociety.org, and you would take the yellow dot class. Now that once you're yellow dot, you can walk green and yellow. Yellow dot dogs, sometimes you'll see a yellow dot dog in the kennel, it's this big, and it's like, I don't get it. And usually that's because the dog is a bit shy and hesitant, and somebody coming in that's new, that's bending over the dog, that's going to grab quickly, is gonna terrify this dog. So, that's why, it generally is because it's a shy, quieter dog, it's not, but I really think the dog is you're gonna have difficulty physically walking it, but clipping on its leash, because this is a shyer dog that's gonna retreat from somebody who doesn't know. That's why it might be. So and your yellow dot make up the majority of dogs in our kennel, and they're the dogs that really, really need the training. They're the dogs that really need to have them sit to get their leash on and sit to get out the kennel, and they need the work, because these are the dogs that are physically just more demanding. There are the dogs that are more apt to drag you down the street, jump up, knock you off your feet, and so they need the attention and the structure. And then the blue dot level dogs, we have a group of volunteers. They're called Trained to Adopt Volunteers, and the blue dot dogs are the dogs that have more behavioral challenges. Sometimes it's very shy dogs. Sometimes they may have some food aggression. They have various behaviors that we want to work on in a very structured, consistent way. And our Blue Dot volunteers, the Trained to Adopt Volunteers, it's an invite-only group. You're looking for like a level of volunteer that's going to be super committed and has a real interest in behavior and learning more. Red dots, of course, are dogs that are newer dogs that have come in that probably haven't been evaluated yet or haven't finished their stray hold yet.
I see.
Okay.
Now, with the yellow dot,
Mhm.
that you want them to train more, are we allowed to bring them in here, just a
Oh,
dog, and just spend more
absolutely.
time with it and
Absolutely.
stuff? Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely, it's, the training room is, really think of it as the training room. The only time you might get bumped out is if I have somebody that wants to meet a
Right.
dog in adoption, I'll knock on your door and bump you out, and you're welcome to come back in after. But, and you don't even necessarily have to be trained, you can come in here and sit down with the dog and, you know, with your cup of coffee and read a book and just give the dog quiet time
Yeah.
out of the kennel. It's, they don't have to be actively doing something. Sometimes downtime, that's like the best time, it's just
You
a
can
chance
grab
for them to both
a
exhale.
blanket from the laundry
Yeah,
area
yeah.
and put it down.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Okay,
Cool.
I'm probably just gonna take over, I guess, right? Any other questions or, okay.
All right, I'm Bobby, everybody. I'm the staff trainer here. I've been here, I think, 6 years now, maybe over 6 years. I can't believe it. So I was very lucky to join a team of people where their program already existed, and by my joining, we got to refine it, we got to develop it, grow it. There's an incredible, like I said, the Blue Dot volunteers are such a great team of people, but they all started at Green Dot, right? So they all like started at your level, they just came in and started working with the dogs and walking the dogs. And the great thing about this particular community at this shelter is that there's a lot of interest in supporting the dogs in a variety of ways, be it like exercise, companionship, grooming, and training and behavior. So it's not just about let's save every dog out in the street, it's actually what can we provide with our resources, how can we best support the dogs, how can we allow them the sanity and like the enrichment and the structure that helps them get adopted, and not just get adopted. I think we have a pretty good percentage of dogs that actually stay in the homes, and that's a result of the work that happens at the shelter and the proper matches that the adoption staff does with the public out there. And it all starts at the ground level of like, let's just support the dogs while they're in the shelter. So that's why the training program is really important. And that's why we take the time to have these workshops and really train our volunteers that it's more than just, loving a particular dog. They need so much more. They need to learn how to communicate with humans, and they need to learn how to communicate with people that are complete strangers to them who are potentially going to take them home, right? So we're going to spend some time on very specific skills that are on your handouts there. But first I just want to go around the room, just say your name, how long you've been volunteering here, and what color dot you currently are. So we'll start with the woman behind the camera.
I'm Monica. I've been here over 10 years now, I think. I'm a Blue Dot.
Cool. Wow.
Annie, say it and give her a cookie. Right, whether she's looking at you or she's not looking at you, it doesn't matter. It's just Annie, right? Annie. Right? And Anne, Annie, good girl. Annie. And the cool thing is I can then test it. So watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna toss the treat away from me, let her go get it, and then I'll call her back to me. Annie, good girl. We'll do that one more time. Until she's done. Annie, good girl. That was nice. Yay. Good girl. So it's really simple, right? Okay, I already forgot your name.
Sheila.
Sheila, you want to try?
Sure.
Okay. I'm better with dogs' names, as I think a lot of us are. Okay. So all you're gonna do, and you can break it into little pieces, is literally just say her name and give her a treat. I'm gonna walk away so she doesn't think I'm working with her.
Annie.
Give her a treat right away. There you go. Say her name.
She's looking
Treat.
at me.
Doesn't matter.
Annie.
That's fantastic that she's looking at you.
Should I throw it away?
Say it one more time and give it to her. Good. So before you move to the next step to test it, right, it's great that she's looking at you. What she's learning is that a sound happens, something happens, they say something, and I get a cookie. Something happens, I get a cookie. Wow, I kind of like the way Annie sounds. I get a cookie every time I hear the word Annie. So then she starts to associate, hey, they're talking to me,
Okay.
right? Oh, because think about it this way. If any of you have had a puppy, give her another one, she's being good. Any of you have had a puppy, how did you teach them their name? you took a class. It's more or less this way. So in the dog's head, not that I really know what they're thinking, but in the dog's head, they're like, cookie? Right? If I call my dog Tricky, she thinks, cookie? Because it's an opportunity for a treat, is how she's saying it. Like, even though that's her name, it's an opportunity for a goodie, something good to happen, a treat, something fun, we're gonna play, something's happening. Right? So that's totally fine to say Annie and then give a cookie. All right? So say it one more time, and then we're gonna move to the next step.
Annie.
Give her a cookie. Perfect. So now what you do is you take one treat and toss it away, let her see you toss it, and then as soon as she finishes it, eat it. You start finishing.
Annie.
There you go. She's doing it before I even have to get the words out of my mouth. All right, one more time. So you toss it. As soon as she's done eating it, you say her name.
Save the other piece where she comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Annie.
Nice.
Good girl.
Good. Well done.
Thanks.
Good job. And I forgot your name.
Janet.
Janet, want to try?
Sure.
So you're going to do exactly what she did, which is just say her name, feed a treat. Say her name. Because now this is a new person, a new relationship. Okay. Sorry guys, I definitely, we got paper towels.
Nice and moist.
Annie.
Nice. And pay attention to your tone, right? Annie, like it's a happy day.
Annie.
Nice.
Annie.
Good. All right. So now you're moving on to the next part, which is you have two treats.
Yep.
Toss a treat away. Let her see you toss it. Let her get it.
Annie. You got more there?
There.
Annie.
There you go. So you definitely, because you see, like that was the ultimate test, right? She's like, I'm kind of getting it. I don't quite get it. Because she would have been called away from the treat. But that's really hard to do, calling a dog away from a treat.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize she was.
Right, it's like you're gonna stick chocolate cake here, I might need you to, I might be a little distracted for a minute before I pay attention to you.
Okay,
Right, so it's the same idea, so give her a moment, because she's a shelter dog, and this is a new thing for her.
okay.
I don't know if anyone's actually taught her her name yet, right?
Yeah. How
So-
long has she been here?
3 weeks.
Oh, just 3 weeks?
But she's a green dot, and this is one of those things where a lot of the green dot dogs and some of the yellow dot dogs don't get the kind of attention. And that's simply because, you know, now we're teaching, we're showing you how to do it.
She's following your hands.
Annie.
So again, toss the treat, let her finish it,
Let
then
her
call her
finish.
name.
Okay.
Annie.
Good. And now you could go even a little earlier.
Oh.
She was already on her way back when you called her over, right? So try one more time.
I
Sure.
think she knows.
Okay, yeah.
If someone has a silver Ford Focus, your car needs to be moved. A
Annie?
silver Ford Focus.
Nice. Perfect. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. And you, Mary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody.
Why don't you try now? So it's a little wet and gross, but they love it. They love it. So they're, okay, then you're gonna say her name?
I want to, yeah, I'm just moving.
Say her name. Give her a treat.
Smells my dogs, I think.
Right, I'm gonna step away from the crate a little bit. There you go.
Annie.
There you go, right into the mouth. Say the name right into the mouth.
Annie.
It's like cause and effect.
You smell good.
Yay!
Just really interested in my pants.
Nice, good. So now, it's the same thing where you're gonna toss it away, and then you'll have the second treat, to call her back.
Annie.
Yay! So she's getting it there. Good, really good timing, so she's getting it there. So same thing again.
Okay.
She's like, what's in there? Move away from the crate a little bit. Just- Yeah.
Annie.
Perfect. Great. That's awesome. Thank you. All right. Maybe we'll get more a different dog. Morgan, I want to stick with a crate. Another dog.
The camera had got, after that,
She's like,
the
really?
camera got shut off. I didn't realize it wasn't taping. I didn't realize it wasn't taping until they brought her in the room. So all the introductions are not in here.
We could do that again.
Yeah.
Should we do, let's do them again?
You want a break?
Yeah.
For you. So we could just, if you guys could just go around, again, say your name, how long you've been volunteering, and then the color you are, the color code you are, or volunteer you are. We'll start maybe over here.
I knew you were gonna do that as soon as I put the cookie in my mouth.
Sorry.
I'm Leanne Veely. I'm a blue dot with a cookie in my mouth, and I've been volunteering here 10 years.
And I'm Monica. I'm a blue dot, 10 years also.
And afraid to be on camera. I'm Mimi, desperately trying to get Monica on camera. I've been here with the dogs for about 3 years, and before that with rabbits, and I'm a blue dot.
Hi, I'm Sheila. I've been volunteering about 4 years on and off. I'm still a green dot.
Hi, I'm Maria. I'm volunteering here for almost a year, but I'm not 18 dot because I'm blind, so I just socialize the dogs and I give them treats or I take them into the rooms and spend time with them.
Hi, I'm Nivea. I just volunteer with Maria also.
I'm Ann, I'm a new volunteer, I'm a green dot.
I am Nat. I've been volunteering for 3 months and I'm a yellow dot.
Hi, I'm Don. Been staff here for over 5 years.
I'm Adrienne. I've been volunteering for 2 years and I'm a yellow dot.
My name is Mary. I've been volunteering for 2 years and I'm a green dot.
My name's Diane, I'm a green dot and I've been here about 3 or 4 years.
My name is Janet. I'm a new volunteer. I'm a green dot also.
Just a name, how many years you've been here, and then your dot, color dot.
I'm Donna and I am a both. I'm a yellow blue dot kind of mix. And I've been here about 1.5 years.
So just to, some of you might be wondering, why do we even have, oh, Deb, just quickly introduce yourself again.
Hi, I'm Deb. I'm here about 2 years and I'm a blue dot.
Okay, so the reason, we didn't even say this, the reason we have a video camera is because a lot of people couldn't be here, and they would like to, that doesn't mean that, they have to participate in order to move along in the training process for the volunteer program. But this is a great opportunity to review the skills that we're learning today for yourselves. It's also a great opportunity for other volunteers to see what we're doing here, right? And the idea is to really encourage people to be a part of the program. Okay, thank you for doing that again. That actually was perfect timing. So this is Philly. You know your name! Yeah. And you need to learn how to sit. Right? So we're gonna work on sit with him, and depending on how he does sit for greeting, but sit for greeting might be too much for him at this point. He might just have to learn how to sit.
Very exciting, yeah. That challenge. Some people could really like and other people could be overwhelmed by it.
Right, so unless they are in love with this kind of greeting, or they can look past it and see the dog for who he is, they would say, oh, this is not my kind of dog, I don't really want him. So it limits his options. Yeah. And he's a pit bull, even though he's a good-looking one, and he's only 8 or 9 months, 8 months, right?
Yeah.
So, but he is still a pit bull, right? So that already limits the number of people possibly looking at him. I know. Okay. Cookie! All right. The good thing is he's super, super sweet. Hey, bud. Hi, Billy. Hi, buddy. Oh, yes. We've been working on it. Good boy. And he will eat pretty much anything. So we don't have to, we can save the fresh pet soft treats for the next dog, or jerky treats for the next dog. Hey, good boy. All right. So we're going to work on sit, which I think he'll actually be able to show us sit for greeting as well, which is the next 2 parts of the exercise. It's just sit for everything. Like, think about sit as say please, right? It's the opposite of jumping. We're looking to create the opposite of jumping, an alternative behavior. A lot of dogs that don't know anything, right, or don't know that sit works for them, or sometimes they come in and literally know nothing, and that's found out in the evaluation. They will just jump because they're dogs, they're animals at the end of the day, and they're communicating, hey, I'm into you. Like, he's totally into me. He jumped on my lap and was giving me kisses. And that's sweet, but it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work for most people. And for him, he's only 8 months, he's gonna get bigger. It also wouldn't work for me if I wasn't wearing these clothes. Like, if I was wearing a completely different outfit, or pantyhose, or tights, or something, it completely wouldn't work. If I'm holding bags, especially, or a plate, and I walk into a room, it doesn't work, right? Hi. I right now have tiny little dogs that are 7 pounds and 13 pounds, so if they jump, it's like no big deal. They get this high, if they're on a good day. So, but he's gonna get about this high, if not higher. So we want to just teach him that sit for everything is the way to go. If you want something, say please. Don't just say gimme, 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 gimme. All right? And sometimes when dogs don't know what we want, they'll get frustrated. We find this out, and these tend to be the yellow dot dogs, the blue dot dogs. When they don't know what we want from them, or they want something and we're limiting their ability to get it, like I'm not letting him get to the table. He doesn't care. He's pretty mellow. He's so chill. He's like, whatever, maybe I'll try something else. Some dogs, come here, bud. Some dogs get really frustrated and instead will then jump at us, mouth us. They'll get annoyed at us. They're like, you are not letting me do what I want to do. Right? So this is the other reason that we want to give them tools to communicate. So saying, hey, instead of jumping on me or grabbing me with your arm when you're frustrated with me, why don't you sit? Try that. Try something else. Try something more polite, more appropriate, more desirable. So teaching them a very basic behavior like sit actually can save dogs' life at the end of the day. Because there are some dogs in some shelters where they don't have the resources or the ability to work with the average dog. And the average dog could be a dog like Philly. And then they sit there and then they get frustrated. And when they get out, they're just so desperate to be out. And they don't have the tools to communicate things like, hey, please. And then they get frustrated, so that's when they're grabbing you, grabbing at clothes, and it becomes an issue.
Can I ask you, I mean, she obviously knows how to sit, but for a dog who does not know how to sit, the word sit really means nothing.
Great questions.
Do you need to, push them behind a little, or to show them what you mean by sitting?
Not at all. So a lot of dogs, when they come through the program that you're going to be working with, it's actually like half and half. Some will know it just because of previous experiences, some won't, and you'll be teaching them that. So I am not a fan of shoving a dog, pushing a dog, molding, manipulating physically a dog, especially when it's not my dog. But I can get away with it with my dog. Like, come here, I'm putting your sweater on, it doesn't matter, it's 2 degrees out, right? And you're 8 pounds, so like we've got to put the sweater on. Or I'm picking you up, or I've got to cut your nails, or you're being out of control, let me grab you and move you over here. Those are my dogs. I've done a lot of work where they trust me and they feel comfortable with me, and if I have to be handsy with them, it's no big deal. But a dog that I don't know, depending on the level of dot, like a blue dot dog, some of them, not all, would be really uncomfortable with that. One of the reasons they might be a blue dot dog is because they have handling issues, right? So if I start shoving them and moving them, I'm actually making their behavior worse. And they're feeling less trusting of me pushing and pulling on them. Now, once you develop a relationship with the dog, some of the volunteers, especially the dogs that have been here a while, will spend a lot of time, like Deb spends a lot of time with Kane. And she might not be able, and he's a blue dot dog, so she might be able to do things that I can't do. I don't spend that kind of time with him, right? So she's almost like his surrogate mom, in a way, to be like a foster mom, right? So that's one reason. Another reason is you might create a problem when there wasn't one there beforehand, right? It also doesn't feel good. Like if I shove you into your chair by your shoulders.
Well, I don't mean shoving them. I mean, just, give them a little, just so they
Well,
know what you
If
want them to
if I tap him, right? I mean, that's not because I was tapping.
Right.
He just reinforced.
Yeah.
That's why he did it. But if I start so if I want to push him into a down, and I'm just gently doing that.
Yeah.
He's like. I'd have to really push him. Sorry, I'm totally hid behind the crate here. Right? I'd have to really push him to make him do that, and then he might get worried. Question?
Just a quick comment, I mean, not to get too technical, but opposition reflex also.
Ah, yes, fancy. So there's a phrase, a term out there that actually says, it's called oppositional reflex. So it basically is saying, if I push into anyone. Well, actually, can we demonstrate real quick? Leanne, do you mind holding Philly? And I'm going to demonstrate with Dana. So I'm going to push Dana, and I'm just giving her a heads up to let her know what's happening so I don't accidentally knock her down. And then we have a whole other kind of workshop happening if anyone knows CPR or first aid. So I'm just going to let her do whatever she's going to do.
Yeah,
Do you
she
see her?
pushes back. Yeah.
Ooh, sorry, I didn't know it was coming. Right? So she's just gonna shove right back into me. That's oppositional reflex. And why it's called reflex is it happens automatically. And thank you so much for bringing that up, because that's the other reason why we don't do that. The first reaction for a dog is to resist you shoving. And also, what are they really learning? We have so many tools out there to communicate what we want. We're a big fan, especially in this shelter training program, to give them choice. Because if they choose the behavior, then they're more likely to duplicate it. Like again and again and again and again. He only learned sit like last week.
Oh,
Yeah, last week. Thank you. He only learned it last week. So basically, he sees somebody that he likes. He's like, oh, I don't know if he knows her, he doesn't know her. He likes everybody, right? He's like, hi, new person. Okay, can I say hi to her, or can I have a cookie? Right? So please. And he's not super frustrated by me preventing him from saying hi. He's like, okay, that doesn't work. Let me try something that works. He literally didn't know sit last week.
Wow.
Good boy. And now what we have is actually we're creating a sit-stay. Like, how awesome would it be for him to learn that when someone sits in a chair, he should sit or lay down, not climb on their head.
Right.
So now what we've done as a shelter is we've expanded his options, right? Not just the pit bull owners, not just the ones who love blue pits that don't mind them jumping on their head. We've actually now opened it up to people who might not have considered a pit bull before, or might not have considered a dog at 8 months, because he sits or lays down nicely when they sit in a chair, right? Because if I do this now, because I've reinforced the sit so much, he's more likely to sit.
Yeah.
And what we'll eventually be able to teach him is to sit right away instead of
Doug, can
sitting.
you come to the front desk with a cart? Doug, can you come to the front desk with
He,
a cart?
he chews with great gusto. He chews with great gusto.
He does chew with great gusto. Good boy. So now, and then what this will eventually grow into is, can he sit the moment he comes in? Like, his first choice will be sit versus his like 8th choice right now, which is fine, because he didn't even have a sit last week. And he's
But Bobby,
not
can
even
you
my
talk
dog.
about when you're first teaching him to sit, how the constant rate of
sure.
reinforcement really is the key to, so you were asking how do you do it if they don't know? Just a few minutes on what you do when they first learn to sit and the constant reinforcement.
Definitely. Thank you. All right. So we will bring in a dog. I didn't think he could sit, which is great. Like, clearly he's like, oh, I remember this.
He's trying to sit there pulling him
Sit down. Yeah.
We'll do
You
that.
could teach
but
a
let me-
puppy to sit.
I want to practice it on him though, because he's so that they can practice their skills.
Okay.
What I love to do is have volunteers who are just sharpening their own skills work with dogs who have the behavior, so that you're not worrying about the timing, like you're actually just worrying about a few things instead of like 20 things. Okay, so the first thing to do is really, okay, you could just kind of walk around with the dog, see what happens. Yeah, good boy. The moment that he puts his tush on the ground, I'm gonna give him like 5 little treats. I'm not even moving, I'm not even, I tell him good boy.
Look at
I'm
the
not gonna
small
say the
babies.
word sit, because I don't really know if he knows it. I might as well be saying,
Right.
Eiffel Tower. What? Right? It doesn't matter what I say, because the word doesn't mean anything to him yet. But if I start doing this a lot with him, giving him like, oh, when your tush hits the ground, you get like 20 treats. When your tush hits the ground, you get 2 treats. When your tush
You
hits the
haven't really
ground,
said it yet.
hold on a sec.
Yeah.
You get 5 treats. What I'm going to start to say, oh, by the way, Philly, that thing that you're doing where your tush hits the ground and you get cookies, that's called sit. So maybe today we can actually label the behavior, right? So I don't like to label the behavior until I know that the dog's got it, because otherwise then it becomes like Charlie Brown, which is most of what, I don't know, what cartoon is it that, where it's like blah, 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 cookie, blah, 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 or the dog's name.
Gary Larson.
Gary Larson. Has anyone seen those? Like, that's exactly what's happening. If you have a dog, you might, and go home and experiment, like say the words that your dog knows. Like say a complete sentence, but look at your dog and then say the words that your dogs know. Right? So if I say, hey, Tricky, you're such a good girl, where's your ball? Immediately, ball, right? Like, squirrel. Right, so she knows certain words.
Or
So,
say it when you're not standing facing your dog. So sit down, lay down, and ask your dog to sit.
yeah, right, so you're testing it, right? So, can my dog sit if I'm sitting in a chair? It's like Dr. Seuss, right? What's that? The Green Eggs and Ham, right? If you guys know the Green Eggs and Ham story, it's like, can your dog do the behavior? It doesn't matter what you look like. I'm laying in my bed, I'm sitting on the floor, I'm doing a headstand, like, sit. What is my dog gonna do? Most dogs are like, this is sit. Dogs are so contextual, they don't necessarily know that sit means sit, and it doesn't matter what anything else is happening in the environment. They think sit means put my tush on the ground, I've gotta face the person's gotta be standing up, and we've gotta make eye contact.
And we're in the training room.
And we're in the training room. I actually worked with a dog many, many years ago, a pug, they came to the class and the dog would not sit, would not sit, would not sit. They're like, I swear he would sit at home, he's like a maniac, he's so great, he's even sit staying. Turns out their entire apartment was floor to floor carpeting except for the kitchen and the bathroom. So he didn't know how to sit on floors, it was hardwood floors. So they had to bring in a square of carpeting from Home Depot, and then we cut it smaller, and then he would sit on the floor.
Wow.
And that was like, you just don't even know. They're like, oh, they're practicing sit. They couldn't understand why he was so good at home and not at all even trying in class. Because it was context, completely about context. You're being a rock star. Okay, so I forgot your name. Anne, you want to come out and try? I'm going to give you some. Okay, bud. So what it's going to look like is you're just going to walk around a little bit back and forth between Mimi and Dana, and then just stop walking. Maybe just give them one treat to let them know that you're handling the leash now. And just walk that way towards Mimi is right there, or Dana, back and forth. And then just stop, and then see what happens. Maybe make some kissy noises so he knows you're talking to him. Yeah, good boy. Give him like a couple.
Yeah.
It's always better if you have pockets too, or a treat pouch. Treat pouch is rule. Fanny pack is back. Say okay and then
Okay,
Yeah, they're really.
okay.
pat your leg, like, come on, come on, come on. Good, give him one treat for moving with you.
Okay.
He's got
we've lost you.
There you go.
Oh, boy.
Good boy, Philly.
Good boy.
Good.
Okay, come on, come on.
Look at that attention. Oh, he's a rock star. So what you're creating is a dog that's automatically sitting for whatever. Like, we're taking a walk and I'm going to stop and talk to my neighbor. Sit. We're walking along and I've got to put my bags in the car. Automatic. You live in an urban area and there's lots of curves and you want to stop at every curve. Automatic.
You get one more.
Brilliant.
Can you see how this is the dog you want to go home with?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, your name again, Diane.
Diane.
Okay, Diane, you want to try?
I'm sure.
Brilliant. And I'll talk about that.
Philly.
So Carrie calls these sales skills now.
Sales skills.
Selling and selling.
Yeah. This dog, I'll talk about that in a minute. That's fantastic. He's like, what? Good. So now just walk a little bit. No, just talk to him. Say his name.
Come on, Billy. Come on, let's go. Okay.
And then stop. Well, he's not sitting though.
Oh.
Wait him out.
I just thought.
Wait. See what he does. I like to wait him out. See what they do.
He's thinking, let's see, that
Yeah.
Billy, that's really good, Billy. Billy?
Don't give him a treat though. Wait him out. There it is.
Okay.
Nice.
So
Good.
part of it also is learning, for the dog to learn like who's the one that's in charge, or who's the one really like working with me. It's like, is Mimi working with me? I don't know. Oh, okay. And there's also, when you're in here in the future, it'll be like you and the dog. So clearly the dog's gonna be like, that's the person I'm working with. That's the person who I'm hanging with. Right now, he has a lot of options. So try not to give him any treats for standing and move. Just give him a treat. Yeah,
I see the mouth. I see the mouth going. Come on, Billy. Go ahead. No, Billy. Come on, Billy.
And stop walking. See what he does. Good boy.
Good
And you know
boy.
what, give him a little less leash, like you don't have to yank him anywhere,
Oh, okay.
but you can direct where you're going,
Okay.
less leash, reel it in.
Oh,
reel it in.
less.
Yeah, less, hold it at the knot, there you go.
So you can't go visit.
Yeah, and stop. There you go.
Good boy.
Really wait until he's sitting before you get those treats. Now start, walk the other way.
He does it that.
You're like, okay, come on. Come on, Billy. Nice, and stop.
Like an old man.
That fell.
Nice.
That fell.
That's all right, give him another, and great. All right, so I'm gonna take him from you.
Good boy.
I'll take the treats. Okay, bud, yay! All right. You're so bad. So now he just practiced sit with 3 people, me and then 2 other volunteers, right? So he's now learning to sit for a number of people. It's not just me, not just the trainer on staff. It's called generalization, meaning anybody who's hanging with me is an opportunity, and anyone who's hanging with me, I have to say please, right?
That's why it's like, if I can get like 10 people during the week to do the same exercise with them, when I hand the leash to a brand new person and a doctor, he's gonna be like, oh, sit, eye contact, zone, focus on the person.
Good boy. So, 2 things. Does this look like a different dog than when he first came in?
Yes.
Right? And although he has his puppy side, which we will, like Dana will definitely show and talk about when the adopter comes in, but wouldn't you be more interested in perhaps getting to know him better, or perhaps even taking him home? And you're seeing this like really clever side, like this side of him that he can connect with people, that he's not out there in la la land, right? So Leanne, and I'll let you finish with that, was talking about sales skills. Go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the things that, Carrie Moskowitz, who's another volunteer, I'm sure many of you know her, she does the What Every Shelter Dog Should Know class on Thursday nights, but she calls these behaviors sales skills, because at the end of the day, the dog has to sell himself or herself to a potential family. So when we're working with the dogs, we always think about exactly what Bobby was just describing, which is, if you were an adopter and you came in, what would you want to see? And when you see a dog that immediately knows that his first behavior is to sit, that is it's a sales technique, and people then will look at the dog in a different way, as opposed to when they come in and jump all over you. And nobody wants that, because he could be the most beautiful dog in the world, exactly the kind of dog you're looking for. And the minute that kind of behavior starts, nobody really wants it. So the things that they do that bring out a positive view of themselves to adopters is really, really positive. It really helps them get adopted. And I can't tell you how many families I've seen that have come in. When you show a dog like this who will come in and sit, they're like, wow, that's better behaved than the dog I have at home. Just a simple sit, which this is a very simple thing, makes a marked difference when people come in to look for a pet.
And also his breed. He's not as threatening.
Not as threatening, that's
It's
right.
quiet, it's calm. They can imagine this in their living room, the dog that's bouncing around off the walls. It's like,
And they imagine that, they're running out the door.
Right.
All right, great. So one more thing. So I wanted to talk about something that Monica reminded me about is, it's not just sit and then we take a walk. For 2 reasons. One is, we want to teach them, because we don't know how long they're going to be here, number 1. And number 2, so we want to provide enrichments, really clear rules to the dogs. Training with them, engaging their mind, really helps them sort of hold it together in this kennel environment. Some dogs hold it together better than others. And he's doing all right. He gets play dates, he's doing all right. He gets training, he's young. But we don't sometimes know how long the dog's going to sit here. So we'd like to teach them as much as possible to help them hold it together, feel more relaxed, as well as the more skills they have, the more impressed the adopter is. It's almost like a turnkey dog, right? Like it's just move into the apartment. It's like ready to go. So it's the same idea. So if he's learning, I sit and I hold it until I'm told to go, okay. Good boy. it makes a bigger difference than he sits and then as soon as I start walking, he gets up. Or you know those like dogs that are like Pop-Tarts? They sit, they get up, they sit, they get up, they get up. You know, I can't tell you how many clients my dogs are like, my dogs don't sit. They just hold, they don't hold it. They're sitting, they get up and they're moving. I give them a treat and they go. Well, actually, it's just down, it comes down to training. It's just been trained incorrectly. So we want to teach that sit means sit until, and then hold it. Right? Some of the dogs sit and then they jump right back up on you. This is the other reason why we want to teach them sit and then sit until I say something else. So just be aware of, ask the dog to sit, whether it's waiting for it or we're going to start labeling it right now with him. Then say a word, okay, right? That's the word we're using for the dogs. Most people use that word when they're talking to their dogs. And then you can pat your leg to encourage the dog to move with you. Okay? Good boy. Good boy. All right. Make sense? So you can tell the dog to sit, give him a few treats, then you can say, okay. Hi, that's good. And give him one treat for getting up. Because if he gets a million treats for sitting, he'll like never get up. Yeah, you did good boy. All right. So now, and you want to give them a brain break, right? It's not all train. Like in school, the kids have recess. They have gym class. The dogs need a brain break as well. And then you don't want them to start rehearsing all this stuff you're trying to fix. But let them like go visit, you know, like let them hang out, smell things, play with a toy. So maybe a couple minutes of training and then a few minutes of hanging out. Couple minutes of training, a few minutes of hanging out, right? So now he's getting some love, he's hanging out, he's got a brain break. Hi, you want to go back and train? All right. Hey, so now we're going to actually, isn't this better than jumping up on the table? There's a bowl of fresh pet. There's, 5 bags of treats, there's toys, there's paper towels, and he's not jumping up. That's amazing. It's the dogs that jump up and raid everything that make people crazy. Like they actually give up their dogs sometimes instead of training them. Or they spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on trainers to help them fix this behavior. Like what if they go home and never have that issue?
And you said that's a puppy too?
He's 8 months.
Yeah. That's very good for a puppy.
Well, he just got a million treats for sitting, so he's like, this works. Right, this works.
Talk about like the size of the tree.
Yeah.
People overload.
Yes. Please, don't be stingy with the treats, but be conscious of the treats you're giving him. So I'm giving him either a full-size pellet, but for this size dog, you can see it's pretty tiny, it's bite-sized, or even breaking it in half. Okay? If a dog will work for like dog treats, we have pepperoni out here, we have Zooks, you don't need the hot dogs or cheese. Save that for the dogs who are out of their mind, really afraid, really reactive, or really overwhelmed. Then you use the higher value treats like the bologna, the fresh pet, the hot dogs, the cheese, the steak, chicken. Otherwise then you can just use basic treats and break them really little. Really little. If you're going to use biscuits, they don't work as well, but really tiny treats. And don't feed the dog just because they're cute. I know that you want to, there might be a part of you that feels guilty, you feel bad that the dogs are in the shelter. What happens when you do that is, one, they get overweight, right? Especially if they're sitting here a while, which is unhealthy for the dog. And then also the adopters comment, they're like, what's going on in the shelter? Secondly, they're full, and then when we take them out to train them, they don't want to train. And the last reason, and this is my favorite reason because I'm thinking of it behaviorally, because that's what I do for a living, is why would I work a 40-hour week for the same amount of money when I can work a 20-hour week for that amount of money? Right? If he's getting cookies all day long for being cute, why would he work hard for me for these little itty-bitty treats that I'm giving him? Right? So you want to be conscious of, what are you rewarding? Is the dog actually doing something that's worth rewarding? Am I teaching a skill? Am I practicing something that I am learning from this workshop? Give him pets and talk to him and praise him if he's cute and you think he's cute. all right? Because he likes that too. And he doesn't need cookies for that.
Or
So all-
toys.
or toys, give him toys. All the free feeding, like, oh, you're cute, here's handfuls of hot dogs and cheese, it actually takes away from the dog's training abilities. Like, it actually takes away from our job, like our ability to do our job to support these dogs, all of us. Here, everybody. So now, he's a little thirsty. Now we're just gonna work on labeling the behavior.
But he heard the bag.
Yeah, I know, it does
He wasn't
sound
that thirsty.
Yeah. So, can you guys bet, would you bet like $100 that he's gonna sit if I stop walking?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. If I stop walking, I also bet $100 that right now he will sit. So if I will bet money on it, like I bet $100, he's gonna sit right now. And I don't think he'll do it out there, but definitely in here. So I'm gonna start labeling the behavior. Okay. Sit. Yes, good boy. So I'll say the word, I'll stop moving, and I'll see what he does. And if he sits, I'll give him a treat, a few treats. Okay? Good boy. Sit. Got a little distracted, that's okay. All right, we'll go this way, buddy. Sit. Yes, good job. Good boy. Okay. We'll try that again on this side. Sit. Yay, good boy. All right, so now what's starting to happen, okay, is that he's learning that there's a sound, and then I do something, and then I get a cookie. There's a word she says, and then I do something, and then I get a cookie. So we're starting to actually make a connection in his little brain. All right? I forgot your name.
Adrienne.
Adrienne, you wanna try? Okay. Here's some treats. Give him one, just so he knows that you're the one working with him, huh? That's it. You can talk to him.
Sit. Sit.
Say it once and wait.
Good boy.
Good, have that treat
Good
ready to
boy.
give him, good job.
Good boy.
Say, okay,
Okay.
and keep walking. And then say the word,
Sit. Sit.
say it once.
Good boy. Good boy.
He smacks his lips.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
Sit. Sit.
Just once. Just once. There you go.
Okay, good.
Because if you start saying it, sit, sit, then he's going to think, okay, I need to hear it twice, or I need to hear it 8 times before I do it. And that makes people nutty. All right, good job. Yay! And Nat, you want to try?
I've always been concerned, I didn't realize it was okay to give them so much.
You can, but that's why we're giving tiny
Little
pieces.
ones, yes.
I'm actually, do you need treats?
And I wouldn't do that with like cheese or
Nothing.
popcorn.
After this, I'll have.
I'm glad you know, because I've always bought some little sausages and cut them into small bits, but I mean, if you're able to do with that, that's even better.
And we have treats out on the table.
Yeah, but they're much bigger, aren't they?
You can break them
No,
into
yeah.
tiny.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Let's try.
Oh, okay. Nice, nice timing.
Good boy. Stuff together. Good boy.
Sit.
Good boy.
And the great thing is he's learning from so many different people. It's like really sticking in his little head. That's great, great. So like, you know, he gets excited and he just jumps up. So everything stops, right? All the communication, the treats, the love, it stops. And then he's gonna learn, oh wait, that doesn't work. See, now he's sick. Great, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, great. Nice.
And can I ask something? Which is better? Because I mean, I've always assumed that it was better to take them out for a walk, and I kind of like that. Could you do half and half, sort of half training? He's a smart dog.
This is a very special room. I don't want to go. No, that's great. So let's say you have like an hour at the shelter and you have 2 dogs that you definitely want to spend time with. absolutely split your time. Like, let's go for a nice walk together, burn out that extra energy, and then come into the room and train. Or sit or work in their kennel, or work in the pen when the weather's nice and it's not full of ice. Hey, we're gonna walk, we're gonna do our business, we're gonna hang out, we'll burn out some energy, get to see the world, because that's part of it, and then train. Yeah.
When I first got my dog, he's a pretty high energy dog. When I started training him, if I didn't walk him or burn some energy out before, he would throw everything, be bouncing off the walls. He's trying, but he's not doing what I'm asking. Take him on a half an hour walk, come back, and then
Then he can focus.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
It's like kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Australian Shepherd.
Even more so. We're gonna do
He's better now.
Morgan crates. Yeah. So we didn't practice. So another thing, I was giving Philly a lot of treats, definitely. Part of it is also that Philly was our demo dog, right? He's our. Oh, hey.
I needed my hand needed.
No, that's totally fine. I know we haven't had breaks proper for you. Ah, you're a camera! So we used Philly a lot longer because I didn't anticipate him actually knowing how to sit so well. So we used him for 2 pieces of our exercise, which is to first train the sit and then also just sit to say please for things and practice. So he got a lot more treats because he was our demo dog. Hey, Ryan! Hey, chickens! I'm glad she's feeling better. Yeah. Okay, so here, girl. I'm just gonna let her say hi to everybody. Okay. So as a demo dog, with teaching people how to practice the skills, they're gonna get more treats, for sure. So let's say I was in here on a particular day to work and I was gonna hang out with Billy for like, say, a half hour, 45 minutes. What I would do is maybe take him for a walk, maybe give him a play session, which only the trained volunteers can do. Ooh. I would come into the room, do a little training with him, and then give him some free time to hang out, and then do a little bit more training with him, and then give him some free time to hang out, maybe take out a toy and do some training with him. So I would spend the 30 minutes with him, but it would be involved with like balls and hug toys, like just throwing the toys, letting him hang out with them, letting him do his own thing. Maybe I have to enter like the records, what I'm working on with the dogs. So sometimes I'll just do that in here while they're taking a break and they're doing their own thing, which is very similar to working in your office at home with the dog, right? So they're learning how to self-regulate while they're, she's very happy, right? So you mix it up, absolutely. Absolutely. And if I know that the dog doesn't have any major behavioral issues, I'm using the little tiny jerky treats. Tiny, tiny jerky treats. Only if they have behavioral issues, like the blue dot dogs, even them, they'll take the jerky treats. They're like fear or lunging or food aggression. That's when we really bring out the hot dogs and the chicken and the cheese. Or sometimes the dog is so overwhelmed outside that they can't even think, or how do you break through that? So then I might use this hot dogs and chicken and cheese. Hi. Yeah. Well, let's see if she'll work for the Zook's treats. I think she will.
Oh,
She already knows how to sit.
She came,
you have a cute
whoever
sit.
had her before, put her to sit, she down, she shakes, and she rolls over.
Yeah, what is that roll over?
Shakes.
She would do it in her.
Yeah, how do you do?
So what we're gonna work on now is go to crate.
You can take over
Your sweater.
Here you go. I think there's a basset hound in here.
Yeah.
Her little tough feet.
Aww. She's like, I get kitten. Good girl. Ah, it's itchy. I'm so itchy. Oh, that feels good. Come here. She does look kind of bassety. You're so cute. All right. So one of the things that Dana was talking about earlier is, someone taught her to sit, but teach her to not jump.
Yes.
It's okay. That's what we're working on. So she's jumping a lot on me. I'm not going to turn my back on her. One is, Sometimes that actually frustrates the dog more, and now they're jumping on you more. The other thing is, she's not my dog, so I don't know how much people have really worked with her on the sit, you know. So she knows it works, but she doesn't know that she shouldn't jump, right? Come here, girlie. Meaning, she's like, I sat, I'm not getting the cookie, what's the WTF? And then she jumps up on me, right? So clearly she has to learn that to sit and then hold the sit until further notice, which is fine. I don't want to get mad at her. I'm not going to time her out and turn my back. It might actually get her more frustrated. As we spend more time together, I might pull out that tool of, I'm going to give you a timeout if you jump on me by turning my back. What I've learned, especially with shelter dogs, is if I do that, sometimes they just rake my back with their nails because they're so frustrated, and so they're still jumping on my back.
Okay.
You know, or, can you hold her for a second? I'm gonna start, or, come here. Sometimes if you, here, I'll give you a couple treats for her. Sometimes if I'm here, let's say that I'm walking in and they jump on me, like especially in the kennels, and then I do this, they just run around this way, and then I do this, and then they just run around this way, and then I do this, and they run around this way. So I'm actually creating more of a frenzy for the dog. So I just stay still, and I wait for them to settle or to sit, and then I'll interact with them. Thank you. All right.
Would you try to reinforce a word like down or stay or?
I only
At that
reinforce the word if I can bet money.
Right.
If I say the word, it'll happen. That's the only time. So with most shelter dogs, unless I've been working with them for a couple of weeks, me personally.
But at that point though, wouldn't you, like that word association, wouldn't you try to start at that point too? Like how she's jumping on you, say down or?
Oh, that's a great question. So we know that she knows sit, and we know that she knows it on cue, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if she jumps on me and I tell her to sit and then I give her a cookie, what am I rewarding?
Jumping.
Yeah. I'm rewarding two behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rewarding the jumping and the sitting. That's why I wouldn't do it. And we have video. When I first started working here, there was a dog that was like a brilliant, brilliant demonstration of that. And I was like, did someone actually, Dana showed me video, I'm like, someone taught this dog. It was a black pitty, I can't remember her name.
And you were like, look, if we taught her to sit, and the dog would springboard off the sit.
Every time you said sit, every time you said sit.
And she was so proud.
Well, because she is doing it right.
She's doing it, that's what she was taught. So, and the volunteers had every right intention about it. They had great hearts. They were so dedicated to working with the dog, but they didn't realize what they had done is create like two behaviors connected together. So that's why you don't ever reward, you don't ask for a behavior. If the dog is like in the trash and you're like, hey, no, sit, up, lay down, you're actually rewarding both behaviors. Come here. Hi. All right. So one of the things that we're going to work on is go to your crate, and then the last behavior we're going to work on is a different dog. She's getting annoyed.
Is she part cow?
Part basset.
Oh, part basset. Right?
Yeah, you're so silly. She's like, enough chatter. All right.
Get to the cookies.
We didn't get to work on sit for greeting, which we're going to do with a different dog, but we are going to work with, we have to call her a basset mix. This is we are going to work on crate training with the dog. One of the things that we've been finding is that a lot of folks will take the class and then practice the crate training, but then it doesn't follow through afterwards. And I know even like the Blue Dot volunteers and myself, I'm guilty of that as well. So we see the value in crate training because not only does the dog have to go home and will likely be in a crate initially, there's several reasons why. If they know what a crate is and they're comfortable in a crate and then they go into a new home that's completely different and strange from what they're used to, but they see this box, they're going to say, I know what that is. Right. That's a safe space. That's a safe space, that's familiar. So it gives them an opportunity to settle down into a space that's a bit more familiar than like a brand new home. So the other reason is, obvious reasons for young dogs prevent destruction of the house, like house training, management. Even say a 6 or 7 year old dog that goes home for the first time from a shelter, even if they're house trained, they might have an accident in the beginning. And then lastly, I like the crate because it teaches the dog how to be separate from their people, which is a very important skill because sometimes they need to be separate from their people. It teaches the dog how to tolerate frustration because sometimes they're frustrated being separated from their people, or they can't be, they can't get what they want all the time. And a crate is a great way to help teach that tolerance to frustration. So for lots of reasons, I like crate training. So now I'm going to show you really quickly how we like to teach it here. There's lots of different ways to teach it, and we're gonna see what she'll offer. It sometimes depends on the dog. So sometimes you can just throw a handful of treats into the crate, let the dog go in and eat the treats. Right, that's pretty straightforward. Sometimes the dogs are like, heck no, I'm not going back there. That's crazy, you go get the treats. And then that's a different issue altogether. But you see, I didn't close the door right away either. I want her to know she can come right back out. And do that again. Throw the treats in there, she's in. Maybe one more time, I'll let her come out. I'll put these right on top. It's like going downstairs.
Is one already point coming out?
Yes. Hey! So now what I might do is one more time, throw a few in there, let her go in all the way, and then shut the door. We don't have a lock. I'll pretend. And then I'll just give her some treats from the side, back here. Right, drop them in the back. Do that for a little bit. And then let her out. Come on! Yay! That was good! So that's a very simple way, right? So she's just gotten a whole bunch of treats for being in the crate. If I stand near the crate now, what will she do? Maybe. I'm going to look at the crate and wait her out. She might not get it, so she's getting frustrated, right?
Would you ever point her into it?
Let's see.
She might figure it out.
Maybe. Hey, good girl. Throw in some treats. Sometimes pointing works. There's lots of studies that show that dogs understand pointing.
Yeah, sometimes like the other day, they said chimpanzees don't,
Yeah.
wild wolves don't,
Yeah.
dogs, domesticated dogs do.
And it's partly just genetics, meaning like the DNA from generations of domestication, we're talking like thousands and thousands of years, it's in their DNA to be really attentive to our body language, because it's about survival.
Actually, the study that was done with the foxes, and the domestication of foxes,
Yeah.
the domesticated foxes understood pointing, whereas the wild are.
Wow.
Interesting, I didn't know that. So now she's going in on her own. Yay, good girl! So, a very cool thing about training and being generous, but not like gluttonous with with how many treats you're giving, is that think about any behavior that you're teaching a dog, any new behavior like a bank account. The more money you put into an account, the more interest it accrues, the more value it has, right? I mean, that's just anything with your bank account. The same thing goes for dogs. I'm giving you cookies in the back, girl, right here. So the more treats I give for a behavior, you saw it was filling, right? The more treats I give for a behavior, the more interested the dog is in doing it, because the more value it has for them. So they're really...
She figured it out.
Right. So what she's saying, okay, Morgan, so watch this. Now I'm just gonna... Morgan, come here.
Vacuuming up every treat.
So I'm just gonna sit here for a minute and just, maybe I'll hold the leash so she doesn't go visit anybody, and I'll just wait her out. She's going to tell me where the value is in this exercise. Now I am sitting next to the crate, but before she wasn't going in it, right?
No. Maybe a handful of treats, so that's why she's,
Yeah, maybe I'll just not. We'll see. Some of it is, hey, it's in my hand. Some of it might be, I'll stick it in my pocket. I'll wait her out. She might get a little frustrated. Maybe I'll look at where I want her to go. She's thinking. And the cool thing is, when you take out a dog to hang out with them in this room and do some training with them, spending this kind of time, even going slow and like not saying much, it does a lot for them because it gets their brain working. And they like that. They like that a lot. So she might say, I don't understand because you're sitting, because you weren't sitting before. So maybe I'll stand and look at the crate.
How about pointing again?
Well, let's see if she'll figure it out on her own. Good girl. So she said, I don't understand when you're sitting, context. Because I haven't yet taught it yet when I'm sitting, but I have been doing it standing. So the next thing to work on with Morgan, if we had a latch, like if it locked, is to put her in the crate, shut the door, and then maybe walk away, like pretend you're doing something, come back and give a treat. And then that's all right. Let's see what her choice is. Yeah, let's see what her choice is. Maybe let her, like put a treat in there, maybe sit down at a chair across the way, come back and put a treat in there. Right? So now you're actually starting to teach her how to be in a crate where you don't have to be right next to her. Because the reality is, in a home, she's going to be in a crate, maybe in a different room.
If you move the crate like over there by the refrigerator and just
She's not ready for that.
She's not ready?
Because that's too far. This is her first time doing that.
Okay.
Like she's gonna,
Oh,
you
it is,
want to
okay.
start close. Right? And this skill is less about sending the dog to the crate and more about, can you be in the crate, the door is shut, and be relaxed and comfortable? And it doesn't matter where I am. That's really the skill that we're teaching.
And Bobby, don't you think also it's good to let them succeed, right?
Yeah.
To stretch them so far, if they can't figure it out, it's
Yeah.
for them. They like to, it's exciting for them to get the reward.
Yeah, this is, we're looking at basic skill sets because these are shelter dogs, and we want to teach them a bunch of skills that will help them get adopted and then stay in those homes is the key. Because the average person is not us. They're not doing this work. They have very busy lives, they have kids, they have stuff going on, they have the good hearts, the right intention for getting a dog, and then the dog comes home and a lot of them are not prepared. Or the dog has certain issues that develop as they settle into the home, which is why we like to do all this work. Not only are we giving the dog tools to help them succeed in getting adopted and staying in the home, we're getting to know the dog. So now I know Morgan better, I know Philly better, so I can, and so will Dana now, better support the adoption or better match the adopter. So one of the things that we have is ways to communicate with one another, with the other volunteers. So when you're a yellow dot volunteer or a blue dot volunteer, we have a Yahoo forum, and we're constantly talking with each other about our experiences with the dogs, the exercises that we've done. When there's a new dog that's come in as a yellow dot or a blue dot, we say, hey, this is a new dog. These are some of the things that we're working on. Can you please practice this with the dog? And then our volunteers go out and work the dog. So a really interesting story is one of our yellow dot dogs, Coco, was spending time with one of our volunteers. She's a blue dot volunteer, but she really likes to spend time with Coco. And she was doing some training with her in this room, and it happened to be in the afternoon and the sun was coming in, and she was noticing that around here, Coco was being really nervous. And she didn't know why it was right away until she noticed that her shadow, the woman's shadow, as she was moving around, was across. I broke free. Was moving across the wall, which was scaring Coco. So we got to know that Coco is actually a bit more nervous than we realized. When she first, we knew she was nervous, but we didn't know how far it went. But as the volunteers have been spending more time with her, we got to know her better so that now we can create a training program that better supports her. Right? All right, so I'd like someone to try with Miss Morgan. Come here, you don't need a drink or anything? Come here, Missy.
She's like, I put some cookies. I can drink in my kennel.
Let's see who, Diane, you want to try this?
You want me to get into the crate or just?
Yeah, the same things. You can do a handful of treats, like I showed you.
Let me know when you're tired.
Good, just go walk over to the crate, throw a handful of treats in. So you're giving her treats for what right
Oh,
now?
I know.
Well, no, actually, I'm asking you, what are you giving her treats for?
Well, just kind of like make her come along with me.
But she is coming along,
Yeah.
and she's jumping up, and you're feeding treats. Yeah, so be aware of that.
I know.
A lot, drop the leaves, throw it in there, close it in, close it up, close it up. That's all right. Now, just hold the door though, because we don't have a latch. And just drop a couple in there.
There you go.
One at a time, wait for her to, drop another one. So if we had a latch, you would start walking away. So why don't you, I'll hold it, you start walking away, come back, give her a treat. Just put it right in there. And I would actually reward her from the sides, like in the back. Placement of reward, right? Value, where do I want her to be? I want her to be settled in the back, not worrying about popping out through the front. Right?
Good girl.
Here, have a couple more, one more, in the back, in the back. Working. Good. Good girl. Open the door, and she can come out. Yay! Rock star! And I would go back in. Right. And that's fine. It's all about where's the value. Like, where do I want to be? All right. Mary, you want to try?
Sure. Come on.
Take a small handful of treats. There you go. And just throw it in. Let her go in, throw that leash in, close the door, and I'll hold it for you. And you can walk back and forth and reward. And then you can walk away to like the fridge.
There you go.
The idea is you don't want to have to be there the whole time, right? We want to teach them eventually to be comfortable. If they're going in and you can lock the door and they're not panicking, so then you can start doing something else and then coming back and rewarding, and then going to have a seat somewhere and then coming back and rewarding. Good, all right, we'll open the door. Awesome. Yay! Okay, Leanne, do you mind taking her back for me? And then I want to bring out another like green or yellow dot to do this crate work. Not Cocoa though. Another one. All right, you want to take a break? Are you good? Keep going? Camera woman, you good?
Is that everything has on it?
If you want to keep going? Yeah.
All right.
You want me to take it?
All right,
No,
any
it's-
questions
I'm
about
still
that?
going.
We're
Unless you
gonna
want to. Would you rather keep going? I just
We're
go the
gonna
whole
do a
time.
little bit more crate work with the next dog, but I'm actually gonna have, let me just check the time. Oh, actually it's 4:38. Wow, time is just going. We're not gonna do crate work. Let me see about another dog. Or whoever
Well, we
she
can
brings
pause
in,
it
we'll have her
meanwhile
bring
till
in.
another dog
And we're gonna
comes
do
in.
sit for greeting. Because that's the last part of the workshop, and that's the last behavior. We're actually teaching the dog to say hello as people are walking up to greet the dog. Right, so imagine walking down the street with a dog. It's your dog, it's a neighbor coming to talk to you. Your dog is not jumping up, the dog is sitting next to you, or sitting upon approach. And that's huge. That's huge in the kennels, right? As you approach, the dog sits versus jump up, put their paws up on the pen. Sam is a lab here. People are so impressed that they can walk right up to him and he just sits. That took work. When he was evaluated, he's a blue dot. When he was evaluated, he was literally like in the trash can, on top of the table, like on top of the person evaluating him. He was like, when he's on his back legs, they're like the same height. So it's ridiculous how he was ricocheting off the walls. And now, through tons and tons of training with the Blue Dot volunteers, when you approach him, he sits. When he wants something, he sits. He says please for everything. And that's what we want to create with all the dogs. Wow. Oh, it's Queen. Oh, little squirt. They grab the leash.
She gets a little nervous sometimes, so hold on.
So, yeah. So I have a question for you guys. Why did Queenie pee twice? It's not, yeah. Tell me more about that, Matt.
Isn't it an appeasement behavior, if I remember right? Like, she wants to say no threat, like, I'm okay, like, so
So it's submission?
It's a way to say, between other animals, it's a way to say that I mean no harm. So I don't know what Queen's past experience was, but why she comes in here and then says, hey, I mean no harm, so don't hurt me.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit of like it's a little submissive piece, because she got really low and her body slowed down, right? So Queen, she's a yellow dog for the exact reason why Dana mentioned earlier. Remember she said that sometimes dogs are a little nervous, a little shy? Queen is that dog, especially with men, and she's come a long way. So she loves people, but you see how she came into a room full of people? Like, this is a large room of people, and she's like, oh my God, there's so many people. Right, this is the first time I've seen her pee. We've done workshops with her before, I've never seen her pee.
No, but she's gotten done.
She's
that
gotten
crap.
so many people, stage fright. Yeah. She lost her. She lost herself there. So she definitely knows how to sit, and she definitely knows how to sit for cookies. And she's more likely to sit upon approach than jump. But I want you guys to practice your timing, which is why Queen's a great helper for this. Thank you. Good choice. Hi, give me kisses. You're so sweet. Good girl. Now, Queen. Oh my God, she's so gooey. So, Queen is a dog that if you don't know her, if you just want to be sensitive, and this is for the yellow dots, because Queen dots can't work with her until you're able to get all your signatures, because you've attended at least 3 of these classes, then they're yellow dot. You just want to be aware of her body language. If she doesn't know you and she moves in slowly, pet her and then stop, see what she does. She doesn't want to stay with you. Did you notice that, Diane?
Yeah.
You pet her and then stop.
Okay.
Not interested, that's fine. Let her know that she has the permission to go if she wants to go. Because, I mean, this is a side note, you know, we didn't anticipate this, but she's that kind of dog. Where if she doesn't know you, it takes her a minute to warm up to you. So you don't want to be like, oh my God, I love you, I love you. She knows me, right? But that's why I can do this. I can give her hugs and stuff. But as someone she doesn't know, what you'll see is, watch, I'm going to pet her a little bit and I'm going to stop. What's she going to do? Well, she's actually interested in, oh, that thing moved. That thing moved.
How old is she?
Like 3 or 4. Hi! So if I pet her and I stop, she solicits more attention from me. I pet her, I stop, solicits more attention. I pet her, I stop, solicits more attention. Come on, lady, keep petting me, right? But I know her, that's why. We've hung out a bunch of times together. When I first met her and I pet her, she walked, after a moment of stopping to petting, she walked away, which told me, okay, that's enough. That's all the personal space I can handle right now. We don't know each other that well yet.
It doesn't matter what your energy level is, though.
I think it does. Yeah. It depends on like if someone's really nervous or really
If you met her, I don't imagine you would be greeting a dog
I know
like that.
better, right?
So,
Yeah, I do know better. Exactly.
It's just.
I still have to resist the urge. I wanted to hug her very much. She reminds me of a dog also named Queen that I had personally. So I resisted the urge. But some people, including volunteers, just because they're learning, will approach her that way. So this is an educational opportunity, like bonus for you guys to see that you should be aware of your body language. And if you see that when you touch the dog kind of gets low, especially the yellow dot volunteers, you'll see it more than with the green dots, or the dog is like gooey, 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 and then their motion sort of slows down, like almost becomes still, they're actually a little bit nervous and maybe need some personal space from you right there. So give them, not right now, give them some personal space. Right? So that's why Diana said,
touch me more.
yeah. She's like sitting on my calf, leaning on me.
She's like a little kid on mommy's leg.
You know, once she knows you, she's going to be like the perfect dog to watch football on Sundays with. You know, that's she'll be a body pillow. She's the perfect, and that's what she wants, but only if she knows you. Right? That's the difference with her. So I actually want to practice sitting upon greeting.
She's
Good girl. So I just have one question, Dana, because sometimes it varies. Sometimes the treats come from the handler, and sometimes the treats come from the person approaching. How would you like to do this?
I think it's really helpful because once you get the sitting established, that it comes from a variety of people. So the dog learns that somebody approaching,
Something good happens.
something good happens.
Okay.
The thing we'll have to be careful with her is not to overwhelm her because she is who she is, as Bobby just explained. So she may find that like a little intimidating having, you know.
Person after stranger after
Yeah.
stranger approaching. So just be aware of your body language, and I'm gonna ask actually, Leanne and Mimi and Donna, because I know them really well, to demonstrate what Dana's talking about, and then each of you guys, and then we'll have Nako, because I know Nat has had a lot of dog experience, and then we'll have each of you approach one at a time and give her a treat, only if she sits. So we're gonna stand here by Dana. All right, Leanne. Yeah. Maybe we can move the crate back. Do you mind sliding it back? It might make a little noise.
Is she all right?
She's all right. She's like, what's happening? I want to switch cookie. Thanks, guys. Ah, cookie. Come here, chickens. Now we have some room. Let's do that one more time. She actually went to Leanne there, right? She knows Leanne too, though. All right, come here, Pete. All right, Mimi.
She doesn't know me.
That's good. Someone's coming. Someone's coming. Hey you. Hi. Good job. Come over here. Come on. Her name is Queen. Hi, Queenie. Hi, Queenie. 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 Good job,
Good.
Queenie. Good girl. What? That's good. Actually, Monica, it would be interesting from your perspective to do it with the camera.
Multitasking.
We could have like an interesting being the
A
human,
nose
as
shot.
if this was you and what you're gonna
Hey,
say.
Queen. Good girl.
Yeah, because that's your point of view coming at the dog.
One more time.
Yes, please.
Good
She knows how to sit for
girl.
reading, but that's why
There
she's a
you
great
go.
dog for, as volunteers to practice this time. Ready, Donna? And you can totally say hello on the way, that's fine. I like your crouch.
Would you mind? Would you get someone who doesn't know her?
We're all gonna have a chance, but I want you to watch, yeah, more experienced volunteers.
And I don't know her.
Yeah.
I've never
I don't
worked with her.
know, I mean, I know her a little.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Nat, you wanna try?
She
If you guys
smiles.
don't have treats, actually, here, do not pass this around. Just take like 2 treats. Oh my goodness. Sweetie, come here. And this is great because this is a man approaching. She's more sensitive with men, but the fact that she's like.
Walk to her son.
Yeah.
So she's
Happy butt.
Oh, she's like, that's my friend.
Oh, nice.
She knows now really well. But that's fantastic because as a man, she's developing a relationship with a man, and that's really important.
And he's a tall man.
Yes, yes. All right, let's have, Megan, why don't you go next, your treats? And then we'll just keep going down the road. Good, to treat right away. Do you see how she was a little bit slower with Diane? Right, you can walk away, that's good. Good. So you know what I'm gonna do? Give her a treat, there you go.
Nice.
Depending on how she does, I might have someone that she knows approach her after someone she doesn't know. Right?
How does she feel
Yeah.
about cats?
Not good.
I have several cats, so she might have smelt that.
I don't know, she might have been super interested then.
Ah.
Mary, ready?
All
We'll see
right.
how she does. I'll see.
Like cats, it's just, no matter what she does,
She either love me or hate me.
She likes, she likes them a little too much.
Oh, I
Right.
see, okay.
Yeah, not in a good way.
Oh, that kind of
That's
like
just
that?
once, and then you can, yeah, that's it. And then, so now I'm gonna have you approach again, just to relieve some of the pressure. So what I'm doing for Queen is having her, someone who knows her really well approach. Oh, Deb, I forgot to ask you.
I don't know her.
Oh, that's good, you're next then. Oh, we're going down the road. Okay, good. All right, so, already forgot your name. If she's sitting, if she's already sitting, that's fine, just approach anyway. Good, all right. So now I'm gonna have Leanne approach, just so that we can break it up for Queenie.
Hi, Queen. Hi, Queen.
Someone that she knows is approaching, you see the change in the body language. I think it'll also be good for you guys to see the difference. Okay? Yeah. You can talk to her. Hi.
Hey, Queenie.
It's so weird for a dog who's so used to like people talking to them all the time, for you to approach like a silent like, soldier. Right? The dogs are like, you're weird. All right, so Deb, why don't you approach?
Queen. Queen. Hi.
Nice. And at any point, if she were to jump, you would just turn around and walk away. Good, she's like too good. But this is really good for her also to be around all these strangers. All right. Maddie?
This is a dog that could get tubby with treats.
Yeah, just like one, two, like two little tiny treats, that's it. All right, she's doing well. All right.
She's warming up.
What?
She's learning this game.
Yeah.
Maria? What did Maria do? Okay.
Couldn't how you approach also help a little bit? Like, instead of more of a front, like a sort of side thing?
Absolutely. We'll do that, we'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
So Deb's gonna guide you.
All right, so here we are.
Good.
Hi, give her,
Sit. Oh, she's
she is sitting.
Good girl.
Give her another
You
one.
can give her another one, Maria, if you have. Yeah.
Yay,
Good
Queen!
girl.
You can give her one more. All right, great.
All right, cool.
Just once more.
Can't give it short. That's good.
Okay.
All right, so this is great. Nat made a really good point. Sometimes dogs who are nervous, not that the green dot volunteers will not be seeing this, but sometimes yellow dot volunteers will. Or, you know, even as a green dot, sometimes the dogs change, and then they become yellow or they become blue for whatever reason. So you might notice something when you're with them in the kennel that's a change in behavior, and Nat made a really good point. Like, what if you approach, you know, sometimes when you approach really head on, it can intimidate a dog. How can you approach differently? So Nat, can you demonstrate? Approach from the side, or even like show your side?
I would more come like at an angle instead of she comes to me.
Yeah.
And then, good girl. That way it's more of a side thing as opposed to
Yeah.
she's standing over a head on people.
And that's her friend. But it does make a difference. So sometimes when you approach the kennel, and if you see the dog is really barking at you, but not in a way that's like, hey, let me out, or they're shying back, sometimes you could just come at the side and pretend like you're not really looking at them, or even crouch low, pretend like you're not really looking at them. Hi. And then they'll come into yours. They might come forward, they might not. Right? But to stand at the kennel and do this is like horrifying. Right? The poor dogs, they're stuck in their kennels, they're like, what are you, just weird?
And people, you'll see people doing it.
Bobby, do you want a puppy? Show them how to teach a puppy to sit.
Yeah, we have a few minutes.
I don't know about the batteries.
So we have like a couple of minutes. So I just want to show you, we don't have enough time to practice.
I have another battery
I
to
just want
put
to show
in.
you how to teach a dog to sit if you've never,
have
if they
that.
don't have a sit. I forgot about
Why don't
that.
you switch it?
Leanne is. Oh, good. Yeah, Leanne is. So not to pull when they're a shelter dog, because there's so many different people walking a dog, many of which don't have the time or the knowledge or ability to train the dog not to pull, which is why we use equipment. So if you find that you're walking a green dot dog and they're really pulling hard, you can have a conversation with the staff up front, and then we will look into maybe sizing the right kind of equipment if need be. There is a way to teach it, and it's just really rewarding the dog at your side, but I almost think it's not fair because some people are doing it, some people are not, and the dog's confused. You know, sometimes it's just it's just that initial like 5 minutes, they wanna get out of the shelter.
Right.
You know? I don't know if you have anything else to offer that day.
Come on, can you just not resist it?
Give me your tail going. All right. We're almost out of time, so unfortunately we can't be too gooey with him. But I'm going to right away use the really.
They shouldn't be so motivated. That's just getting the focus.
So what I'm gonna do is just feed until I have a, oops. Well, first I would teach them how to wear a collar and leash, so I would teach them how to, so they can't run off. So what I do is I just have him chew while I kind of lure him into position. And then I reward a ton while he's in that position. And then, come here, get him out of the position. And then, hello, today you make this look so easy. So I'm really looking at the right, there it is. Ow.
So cute.
Look at her.
So cute.
And then we're gonna do it again. I lure him into position. There it is. And then while he's in position, I feed a lot. Now he's such a baby that I wouldn't use the technique that Philly has, simply because, well, there's several reasons. There, he just got up, so I'll just get into position again. There it is. There it is. Because, and I don't care what direction he's facing.
Yeah.
Because, okay. And we're done. Because he would have to.
Let everybody see him for a minute.
Yeah, I feel like if I let him go, then I won't have their attention for a few minutes. It's
probably true.
I'm gonna wait for a moment. I'm Lauren first. I'm gonna.
He's a good trainer.
Yeah, thank you. So, you've been having him in the room, so I forget having him run around.
Yeah.
So the thing about a puppy that young, to use the technique that I use for Philly, you need the puppy to be able to wear. You can't be in the room, Leanne. Like they're not even paying attention. Sorry, it's like everyone's looking that way. Look at their eyes, and they're all looking that way.
Sit over there.
No, I'm gonna sit over here. And you have to look at me, and you can't see the puppy in your point of view. All right. So the thing about a puppy that young is that you have to first make sure that the puppy will wear a collar. So just some training and conditioning to wearing a collar. And then some puppies really this young, they're like, they're freak out on leash. They're like, this is weird because they can't, oppositional reflex, the tension is weird. So you have to get them comfortable on a leash. All very simple things to do. Sometimes it's not easy, but it just takes a little time. So that's why I wouldn't use the technique that I was using with Philly. With a technique like Philly, I can do it on dogs as young as 3 months or 4 months, but you want to make sure that they have other skills in place, like really wearing a collar, wearing a leash. So with a puppy like that, I'd probably just let him run around and every now and again, hey, here you go, and kind of manipulate his body into the position by just following a food lure.
All right, he's going out,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. And then sometimes what happens, if the puppy does that, like if I had maybe 2 or 3 days where I came in and I did that with him just for a few minutes, it would be in his repertoire. And then all of a sudden he's offering sits for things, just like that. And then I would, for a puppy, I would just reward him every time I saw him do that, even if I didn't want something from him. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, because when his rump was down, his right arm kept coming up. So it seems to me that he's going to develop that. So how do you discourage that?
Ask him to use his left hand.
What'd you say?
I said, ask him to use his left hand.
You know, it's about timing, and it's like, okay, I'm taking the behavior, and it's like a broad spectrum behavior, like just put your tush on the ground, whatever's happening is happening, right? Because some puppies can't even follow the treat up into that position. That happened really quickly, and that was cool. So sometimes it's just, if you get a paw up, you'll fix it. It'll start to go away once he figures out what you're. Right there, he was just so frantic for the food, he didn't even know what his body was doing. He was just eating the food.
How old is he?
Like 8 weeks.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
And probably never saw that before in his life, and probably never had that treat before in his life.
Right.
Thanks, everybody. So, I actually have to run. Can I look up? Do you mind signing? All right. Okay, so anyone who's a Green Dot volunteer that would like to move towards the yellow dot, just Dana will sign your card for you.